Greetings, I'm Jason and this is my comic book review video. This week I've got 9 books to review, so hopefully the video won't be too long. But without further ado, let's get those reviews. So first up this week from Image we have Undertow issue number 5, the penultimate issue of this mini-series. And I'm still really loving it, still really enjoying it. I love this world that they've realised and the different kind of take on Atlantis. This issue, you can see the stories are kind of beginning to gel into one story, and I'm really interested in how it's all going to end up. This issue we have them hunting mammoths, which is awesome. Anything that's got mammoths in, I'm there. So yes, that was good. The colours and art are still really great, and I just had a real blast with this book. Yeah, I think if you've not been picking it up and you like things like Atlantis, because it gives a different kind of perspective on Atlantis, I think it's definitely one worth trying out when it comes out in trade. And I'd give issue number 5 of Undertow 5 stars out of 5. So next from DC Comics we have Aquaman issue number 32, and this was absolutely brilliant. We have 2 stories going on. We have Mira down at the bottom of the ocean trying to deal with these people that are trying to overthrow her husband, the king. So she's investigating there. So her and Tula, and they're just totally badass this issue. And the other half of the story at Triton Base, the creature that Dr. Orson has been creating, gets loose and starts all kinds of havoc, while the sea creatures are beginning not obeying Aquaman and attacking him, and it's all tied into this creature. And I really enjoyed this issue. It was a lot of fun. The story pushes forward, there's loads of action. I think this would probably be a good jumping on point because you don't really need to know that much before. You can kind of get into the story, so I like that. Jeff Parker's doing great work with his ideas. And I think this Paul Papellier, this issue was one of his really best art-wise. I just totally loved the art. You know, you got the undersea battles and everything. It's just really good stuff. And oh no, not that one. I want one of the ones with the monster. You know. So yeah, really great book, and yeah, I'd make Aquaman issue number 32. It's one of the latter books I read, but one of the ones I enjoyed most this week, and I give Aquaman issue number 32 is my pick of the week. So now we move over to Marvel with the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3. This issue, it was a tricky one for me. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here. We have Peter Parker attempting to get back into life now that he's back, and Doc Ock has done all these crazy stuff while he's been away. For me, the sticking point was I really like Black Cat, and I like her character, and I don't really like this dark path they're sending her down. Though I can kind of bear it for a while, because I know it's not going to be permanent. It's just a different direction to take a character to tell a different story. But it's not the Black Cat I know and love. Also Electro, I feel I've missed something, because I can't remember from reading this Dr. Octopus doing any experiments on him. All I can think about is that maybe it's Superior Spider-Man team-up book that it happened in, but because otherwise I just can't remember anything happening with Electro. Surprisingly, I love the art this issue, and for Humberto Ramos issue, that I'm surprised I could say that, but there were some really good moments that he draws in this issue. For example, this scene here where Black Cat, I thought that was a really awesome kind of scene where she shows up and attacks Spider-Man. There was some good stuff going on story wise. Anna Maria, I'm really interested in where they're going to go with her character. So yeah, there's some good stuff going on here. I just didn't feel it as much because I'm not really totally into the Black Cat stuff. So while I enjoyed it, I'm not totally into that. So I'd give Spider-Man issue number 3 4 stars out of 5. So now it's back over to DC Comics with issue number 31 of Justice League. I enjoyed this issue. The confrontation between Lex Luthor and Batman, or Bruce Wayne rather, is epic, and I really like that. I think probably the only thing that disappointed me about it is I still don't really know what Luthor's motives are. I don't know. In the New 52, has Luthor been president? I'm not sure. Because I'm sure that happened in the old 52, but I'm not really that up on the DC. But I'm sure at some point in the old continuity, Luthor was president, and I don't know if that's carried over to the New 52. Because if it hasn't, maybe this is a way. Maybe using the Justice League is a way of getting that ultimate power. I don't know. But yeah, because it's Luthor, you don't really trust him, and always think he's got some kind of ulterior motive. So that I think that added to tension of the scene, because you could totally empathise with where Batman's coming from. I liked the scene with Cyborg and Shazam. I thought that was good. And I've got this fear. I don't mind Cyborg being part of the team, though I miss him being a part of the Teen Titans. But for me, with the exception of the big stories, the origin story of the Justice League, the Throne of Atlantis story, the Forever Evil story, there have been stories that have had a real big chunk for Cyborg to do. But in the majority of issues in between that, he doesn't do much, and he comes across as just, oh, we wanted to have diversity, so we put this black guy in the team, without really thinking what can we do with his character to make him a part of this team. And so I don't like that. And then don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't want diversity in comics, I do. But if you're going to have it, at least make the characters interesting, and don't have them there just for the sake of them being there. You know, I think that's worse than not having them in it at all, because, you know, you're sort of saying, well, we don't really think much of this character, but, you know, I don't like that. I'd rather, if they're going to have diversity, use those characters, get the most out of them. And I'm hoping, you know, we're not going to see Cyborg slide back into just being this anonymous character in the background. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a friendship that's going to kind of build between him and Shazam. I'm hoping anyway. I love the Captain Cold stuff. I think that's really interesting. Again, you got gears turning, like what's Luthor up to there. Power Ring seems really interesting. I got so many questions about Power Ring. Like, if you go to another universe, would, like, say Green Lantern went to another universe and his ring ran out of energy, would his power battery work in the other universe? Because where it's powered from is our universe, so would that transfer over, or would their energy be slightly different frequency to our energy? That's my thing about, and the Power Ring seems to be much more sentient than the Green Lantern rings. The Lantern rings, yes, they'll seek out someone, and they may stop you killing. The Green Lantern ones at least will, but they're more like a machine that's been programmed, whereas the Power Ring seems more of an entity in itself. So yeah, I'm really interested to find out more about Power Ring and where that's going to lead. The last page was a doozy, really had me intrigued to come back. A team I don't really know much about, so I'm really interested in that. All in all, I thought this was a real enjoyable issue, even though, you know, I got that slight concern about Cyborg. I still really enjoyed this, and I'd give Justice League issue number 31 5 stars out of 5. Next up from DC Comics, we have Future's End, or if you want to be exact, the New 52 Future's End. This issue I thought was good. I don't think it was as strong as the last 2 weeks, but I think that's just a personal perspective, because the issue kicks off with Cadmus Island. We catch up with Grifter, and we catch up with Deathstroke and that little girl, whatever her name is, I keep forgetting. I'm not really invested in that story quite yet. Before I kind of was liking Grifter, but this story, until I see a little bit more of what the island is and why he's there, and who this guy Faraday is, until I learn a little bit more, I don't think I'm that invested in that. And that kind of kick-started the issue. The Lois Lane stuff I thought was good. I was disappointed there was no Batman of the Future or Mr. Terrific stuff this issue after what happened last issue, because I'm sure that was the cliffhanger at the end, the reveal of what was in that trolley. So I was a bit disappointed that didn't get followed up on. I'm loving the stuff with Jason and that doctor who's trying to build a transporter. And I really found the scene between Jason and Superman to be really interesting, because like, after what Ray done, how could you ever go back to being Firestorm? Because you've got to link up with this guy and he wouldn't let you out. And how are you ever going to be able to trust that guy again? Even if the world needs you, how are you ever going to be able to do it? So I'm really interested where they're going to go with that. That looks good. Once again, my favourite stuff was the Frankenstein stuff. I just absolutely loved that. And it just made me so sad that there isn't a Frankenstein and Agent of Shade book still out, because I just think Frankenstein is so great. And the end, we get this character turn up at the end. I don't know what this means. I'm sure it looks, to me, the face reminds me, and I'm no expert on DC, but reminds me of Red Tornado. And I'm sure, before I start reading it, I'm sure in Earth 2 there was a Red Tornado. So I'm wondering, is he something that's left over from Earth 2, or is he something to do with something else? I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm still enjoying this book, still looking forward to the next issue and see what's happened. Though I felt the Cadmus Island stuff dragged it down for me personally. The issue though, it kind of, the way this issue was structured, each chunk, you didn't go backwards and forth between stories. It kind of had everything spaced out for its own section. But yeah, like I say, still enjoying it, and I'd give Future's End issue number 8 4 stars out of 5. So next up, sticking with DC's other weekly series, we have Batman Eternal issue number 12. This book ran Aquaman very close to being my pick of the week. I really enjoyed this issue. We had Mikhail Yanin on art, so I just absolutely loved the art. Story wise, I thought this issue was funny in that we caught up with a lot of stories we haven't seen for a while. So the Harper Road Tim Drake story, we caught up with that, and I just would so love to see a Red Robin book. We also caught up with the Jim Gordon stuff, and he's also our cliffhanger at the end, where he comes face to face with a character I didn't even realise was supposed to be dead. Like, I dropped Batgirl when we had all that hullabaloo with Gail Simone. I think it was just after Death of the Family. So I knew that character was in that book, but I didn't know he was supposed to be dead. I'm like, what happened there? But anywho, rest of the story I thought was good. I like that police detective that Gordon brought in, and I'm really interested to see what his plan is. Though it involves something with Batman, and I'm like, is he gonna be kind of like where he's gonna switch on him? I don't know. Or is he legit? I'm hoping he's legit. I loved them having the ultimate argument from the prosecution in the Jim Gordon case. I thought that was a nice little element to throw in there. And I also really enjoyed the scene with Batgirl and Red Hood, and I thought it explained a lot about last issue as well. So yeah, all in all, story-wise, this was really strong. Art-wise, this was really strong. And I'd give Batman Eternal issue number 12 5 stars out of 5. So still staying with DC now, we jump on board The Flash, issue number 32. This issue I thought was good. The modern day stuff, I think is probably the weaker part of the issue. The stuff at the end with Barry Allen and Wally West was a bit predictable, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But it was a bit predictable how that went down. Barry in modern day is kind of trying to chase down this guy who's stolen all this super villain kind of weapons, and he's going around killing this gang one by one. And it just feels, the story just feels that it's something to keep our Flash busy while the future Flash does his thing. So at the moment I'm looking forward to seeing, is this going to become a bigger kind of thing? Is this going to lead to what's propelled our future Flash to do what he does, and this is going to become a bigger deal, or is it just something to kind of keep us busy? The future Flash stuff is the stuff I enjoyed the most. When he goes to see Captain Cold, I thought that was a really good scene, and I'm just really loving that. Another thing I'm really loving is Brett Booth's art. Each issue I fall more and more in love with his art. I just really love how he draws the book. All in all, this was a book I worried about because of the creative change, but so far they're doing a really great job. Like I said, the future stuff, I find it more interesting than the present stuff, and that drags the book a bit down. The present day stuff isn't as isn't as intriguing as the future stuff. But all in all, I'd give The Flash issue number 32 4 stars out of 5. So my penultimate book, it's from Marvel. It is Uncanny Avengers issue number 21. Another really strong issue. I found the beginning a bit abrupt because we kind of jump into the story at a point, and I would have maybe liked to have seen us gone back a bit further. But I could understand for time and it being a bit repetitive, them maybe avoiding certain things. So I did like that. It all seemed like the plan was going along too easily, and you're thinking, God, this for what Remender's been writing, things are going along too easily. And then they throw in there this kind of curveball, and it's so obvious that this curveball would happen, but you just didn't expect it. It hadn't been set up at all, and I just absolutely loved it. And by the end, this fantastic ending, you're like, there are basic things in life you should always remember. You don't spit in the wind. You don't tread on Superman's cape, and you do not, under no circumstances, ever trust a supervillain. But yeah, this issue was badass. I loved the scene with Wolverine. I thought he had some great dialogue, the kind of thing I wish we saw more of. I know he hasn't got healing factor anymore, but that doesn't mean that his healing factor gave him a set of balls. Wolverine is a pretty badass dude. It shouldn't matter if he can die or not. He should still be badass. But anyway, that's a separate tangent for a separate time. But yeah, all in all, I'm like I say, I'm really enjoying this. We have a colorist on this issue, but I think Daniel Acuna is still doing the pencils and the inks. And yeah, I'm just really liking the art and the vibe of the book. And like I say, the twist in this issue, though it's kind of like you see it back and you think, yeah, that was obvious, but you just didn't expect it, and I loved it. Really great issue. Really loving this where this is going, and I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to end up. And I give Uncanny Avengers issue number 21 4 stars out of 5. So my final review this week is Saga issue number 20. This was just another really great issue. I think what this for me, I think, and I'm going to sound a bit like Dr. Phil now, so please, I apologize in advance, but people often think the hardest part about a relationship is meeting somebody and getting into a relationship. It's not. That's almost the easy part. The hard part is making that relationship work. That when you get married, to keep working hard at that relationship to make it last. That's a lot of work in and of itself. And that's what we're seeing here in this story with Marco and Lana, in that they're in this life now and they're drifting apart. Marco's at home looking after Hazel, Lana's doing this job, and their lives are taking them in separate directions. They're not getting time to share stuff and to be together, be a couple, and they're drifting apart, and it's really sad. You can see this happening. But yeah, it's really, again, this book, it's got all this crazy stuff going on in it, but at the center, at the core of it, there's this emotion that we can all kind of empathize with and know what it feels like. So I think that book is one of the book's greatest strengths. The art, once again, by Fiona Staples, is just, as always, fantastic. The story mainly centers on those characters. The stuff from the robot world, I don't know what they call the ones with the TV heads. Have we ever had a race name for them? But we get a bit more about them, and I find that really interesting, and that led to like a really shock ending. So I'm really interested in where that's heading. And the beginning of the book, every issue you have that opening page where it's like it's something that amuses or shocks you. And I just feel that maybe the last couple of issues, have they stepped over the line? I'm just feeling a bit uneasy that they seem to they have to do outlandish stuff to shock you, rather than having something clever in there that when you turn the page and you understand it. Rather than having something like that, they have to do something shocking now. And you know, like when I kind of, my wife explain, I talked to my wife. She wants to know what my comics were like, and I'm telling them about this one, and there was almost like a look of like, why are you reading pornography? I didn't know they did pornographic comics, and it's a bit difficult to kind of explain to people that when people only see that. And I don't know if that's more to do with people's attitudes, or if this book is just going a bit too far. But other than that, but that's a separate thing. The issue itself is another really strong issue. Really enjoying the story in Saga, even though I can see it's going to break my heart. But I give Saga issue number 20 5 stars out of 5. So that's my reviews finished for another week. I will be back, all things being well, on Tuesday with my comic book catch-up video, where I will be looking at Original Sin. I will be reviewing issue 0 to issue number 4, and I'll also be reviewing Nova number 18 and Hulk versus Iron Man number 1, and also talking a little bit about what I think of the event thus far as a whole. Then we have, from there, I'll be back on the Wednesday with my haul video. 17 books this week, so it's a bit of a monster haul. I've been buying a lot more Marvel lately, and one of the downsides of buying Marvel is the funky release schedule. They will bring out like 18 books a year of a single title, so every other month you kind of have 2 issues, and that does add a lot to your pull list. So yeah, so I think that's probably part of the reason why I've got such a big bulk of books next week. So yeah, but I will be able to do a whole video that will definitely be up on Wednesday, and then my next week's review video should be later, because there's so many books. I don't think I'm going to get them finished to film it on Friday, so it'll probably be like Sunday or Monday that video gets uploaded. So just be aware if you want to see my reviews next week. All it leaves, I want to thank my new subscribers and welcome them to my channel. Always cool to have new subscribers. If you've got channels yourself, don't worry, I will be checking out if you've got channels, and if you have, I will be watching your videos as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jason. This has been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.